Hello my dear students, welcome back to Biology at PUG. Today we will discuss one of the most fascinating topics in ethology or animal behavior, that is altruism. At first glance, animal behavior appears to be selfish because natural selection favors individuals that survive and reproduce successfully. However, in nature we often observe animals helping others even when such actions involves risks or costs to themselves. Examples include worker honeybees sacrificing reproduction to help the queen, ground squirrels giving alarm calls that expose them to predators, vampire bats sharing food with hungry group members. Why should natural selection favor such seemingly self-sacrificing behavior? To answer this question, we will learn about altruism, inclusive fitness, kin selection, Hamilton's rule, Eusociality in honeybees, reciprocal altruism in vampire bat. Let's begin. Altruism definition. Altruism is a behavior in which an individual incurs a cost to its own survival or reproductive success while avoiding a benefit to another individual. Simple definition, we can define simply: altruism is self-sacrificing behavior that benefits another individuals at a cost to the actor. Examples of altruism: example 1, alarm calling in ground squirrel. When a predator approaches a ground squirrel, gives an alarm call. This warning helps other members of the group escape. However, the caller may attract the predator's attention and increase its own risk. Example 2, worker honeybees. Worker bees spend their entire lives caring for the colony. They collect food, defend the hive, and care for larvae. Yet they rarely reproduce themselves. Example 3, food sharing in vampire bats. A bat that successfully obtains blood may regurgitate some of the blood and feed another bat that failed to obtain food. The donor loses valuable food while the recipient survives. Evolutionary problem: according to Darwinian natural selection, individuals should maximize their own reproductive success. Traits that reduce fitness should disappear. So the question is, how can altruistic behavior evolve if it reduces individual reproductive success? The answer lies in the concepts of inclusive fitness and kin selection. Inclusive fitness. The concept of inclusive fitness was proposed by the evolutionary biologist William Donald Hamilton. Hamilton argued that an individual's genetic success is determined not only by producing its own offspring but also by helping relatives reproduce. Components of inclusive fitness: direct fitness, reproductive success through one's own offspring; indirect fitness, genetic success gained by helping relatives survive and reproduce. Formula: inclusive fitness is equal to direct fitness plus indirect fitness. Importance: genes promoting helping behavior can spread if the individuals being helped are genetically related to the helper. This idea forms the basis of kin selection. Kin selection definition: kin selection is a form of natural selection in which individuals increase their genetic success by helping relatives survive and reproduce. Simple definition: kin selection favors behaviors that benefit genetically related individuals. And basic idea: relatives share genes. The closer the relationship, the greater the proportion of shared genes. Average genetic relatedness: parent offspring is equal to 0.5, full siblings is equal to 0.5, half siblings is equal to 0.25, grandparent grandchild is equal to 0.25, our first cousins is equal to 0.125. Why help relatives? Helping relatives can indirectly pass copies of your own genes into future generations. For example, suppose an animal sacrifices itself to save 3 siblings. Since each sibling shares 50% of its genes, genetic gain will be 3 into 0.5 is equal to 1.5. This genetic benefit may outweigh the loss of its own reproduction. Hamilton's rule definition: Hamilton proposed a mathematical condition explaining when altruistic behavior will be favored by natural selection. Hamilton's formula: RB will be greater than C, where R is equal to coefficient of relatedness, B is equal to reproductive benefit to the recipient, C is equal to reproductive cost to the actor. Interpretation: altruism evolves when relatedness into benefit will be greater than cost. Suppose R is equal to 0.5, B is equal to 4 offspring. and C is equal to 1 offspring, then RB is equal to 0.5 into 4 is equal to 2. Since 2 is greater than 1, the altruistic behavior is favored by natural selection. Significance of Hamilton's rule. Hamilton's rule explains altruistic behavior scientifically. It forms the basis of kin selection theory. It explains eusociality in insects. It revolutionized behavioral ecology and sociobiology. Eusociality definition. Eusociality is the highest level of social organization in animals. Three defining characteristics: cooperative brood care, individuals help raise offspring that are not their own; reproductive division of labor, some individuals reproduce while others remain sterile workers; overlapping generations, parents and offspring live together and cooperate. Examples: honeybees, ants, termites, some wasps, and naked mole rats. Eusociality in honeybees. Honeybees provide one of the best examples of eusociality. Common species include Apis mellifera and Apis cerana. Social organization of a honeybee colony. A colony contains three castes: queen, fertile female, main reproductive individual, lay eggs, produce pheromones to controlling colony activities; workers, sterile females. Functions include nest construction, foraging, feeding larvae, cleaning, colony defense, and temperature regulation. Drones are male bees. Their primary function is mating with the queen. Most die after mating. Why are worker bees altruistic? Worker bees rarely reproduce. They spend their lives helping the queen. Why would evolution favor this behavior? The answer lies in the haplodiploid genetic system. What is haplodiploidy? Females developed from fertilized eggs, so they are diploid or 2n, and males developed from unfertilized eggs, so they are haploid or n. Genetic relatedness among sisters. Worker bees receive 50% of genes from their mother, 100% of their father's genes because he is haploid. As a result, relatedness between sisters is equal to 0.75 or 75%. Evolutionary consequence: a worker shares 75% of genes with sisters but only 50% of genes with her own offspring. Therefore, helping the queen produce more sisters may transmit more copies of the worker's genes than reproducing herself. This process explains the evolution of altruistic worker behavior. What are the advantages of eusociality or among the social organisms, social animals? Efficient division of labor is the point 1. The second point is the better colony defense. Third, improved brood care. Fourth, enhanced survival. And the last one is the greater reproductive success. Reciprocal altruism. Reciprocal altruism is helping behavior performed with the expectation that the favor will be returned later. The concept was proposed by Robert Trivers in 1971. Simply, we can define that I help you today and you help me tomorrow. Conditions required for reciprocal altruism to evolve: repeated interactions, individuals must encounter each other repeatedly; individual recognition, animals must recognize partners; memory, they must remember previous interactions; and punishment of cheaters, individuals that never reciprocate should be avoided. This is the image of Robert Trivers, who coined the term, who proposed the concept reciprocal altruism. Reciprocal altruism in vampire bats. The classic example involves the common vampire bat or Desmodus rotundus. These bats feed exclusively on blood. Feeding challenge: a bat that fails to obtain blood for 2 or 3 consecutive nights may die from starvation. Food sharing behavior. Researchers observed that well-fed bats regurgitate blood. Hungry bats receive the food. The donor loses food. The recipient survives. This is an altruistic act. Why does it happen? Vampire bats live in stable social groups, recognize one another, remember previous interactions. A bat that receives food today often shares food with the donor in the future. Scientific evidence: studies have shown that food sharing is not random. Bats preferentially help previous donors. Long-term social relationship influence sharing. These observations strongly support reciprocal altruism theory. Evolutionary advantage: for the donor receives future assistance, increase long-term survival; for the recipient avoid starvation, remains capable of reciprocating later; for the population higher survival rates, strong social bonds and greater group stability. This is the differences of kin selection versus reciprocal altruism. So, my dear students, altruism is one of the most remarkable phenomena in animal behavior because it appears to contradict the idea of survival of the fittest. The concept of inclusive fitness, kin selection, and Hamilton's rule demonstrate that genes promoting helping behavior can spread when they increase the survival and reproduction of relatives. Honeybees illustrate altruism through eusociality and kin selection, while vampire bats provide classic evidence of reciprocal altruism through food sharing. Together, these concepts reveal how cooperation, helping behavior, and even self-sacrifice can evolve through natural selection and contribute to the success of individuals, relatives, and entire social groups. If you found this class helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more zoology classes, animal behavior, ecology, evolution, developmental biology lectures for undergraduate, postgraduate, NET, SLATE, GATE, and other competitive examinations. See you in the next class. Thank you.